welcome to the YYC Soccer Podcast. My name is JC Komet, and my co-host is Scott Strasser. Hey, Scott.
Hey, Jason. How's it going?
It's an interesting day. I got back from a little camping adventure and spent most of the day today at the Rocky View Hospital, a little bit of eye trouble. So got a comment a little while back saying, why don't you do the podcast with video? And I'll tell you what, today is a good example as to why not to do it. My eye does not look very good.
Yeah, no, we can see each other when we record these because we're using video chat. And yeah, the first thing I noticed, I thought you had a black eye.
Yeah, but my voice is okay. So and I can read well enough with my other eye that I can read what our notes. So I think we should be good to go.
Me too. I've been away all weekend, so I have to confess I didn't watch really any soccer at all. I did go to a baseball game of all sports.
Did you go to a Gulls game then?
Yeah, we went to their game yesterday and they won against a team from Spruce Grove.
They've got a nice little park there. I was up there a couple of years back.
Yeah. I've been keen on going and my in-laws' trailer is close enough to Sylvan Lake that I've always kind of kept an eye on their schedule to see if it would work out that when we were visiting my in-laws, we could get out to a game and this weekend we managed to do it. And it was pretty good.
So yeah, let's get back to soccer. And this is our beginning of the week, end of the weekend recap episode. We're going to talk about League One Alberta. There's big news. A couple of trophies were awarded this weekend, and they both go to Blizzard. We'll talk about the Calgary Wild match against AFC Toronto on Saturday. And we'll also do a preview of Cavalry versus Pacific, which is on the holiday Monday, probably the day you're listening to this. It's out in BC.
For sure. We usually recap League One action at the end of our episodes, but considering the trophies were hoisted this weekend, we felt it was prudent to lead with that. So let's dive right into it.
My name is Mo Gander, and you're listening to the YYC Soccer Podcast.
All right, Scott. Well, as we mentioned, both men's and women's divisions trophies were awarded this weekend. I guess let's start with the women's division because I think that one is it was all resolved on Friday. It didn't take a couple days to resolve. So on Friday night, Blizzard had to win their game against Villains at Broadview, and they were able to pull it out.
Yeah, I think this was an expected result, but Villains definitely made it a good game. Overall, it was a 2-1 win for Blizzard. And as a result of that victory, they advanced to the Interprovincial Championships, which are pretty close to home. They're happening in Sherwood Park next weekend. So a repeat for Blizzard winning the League One Alberta title.
Yeah, so a big victory for Blizzard. They got a couple goals from Bryn Mortensen, and they played with a very unusual starting 11. So I'm going to be curious to see how much of this starting 11 will actually end up in Sherwood Park next weekend.
Yeah. Kudos for doing this deep dive here, but you've gotten our notes here that 3 of the starting 11 were players in their 30s, including Yvonne Northover, who's 38. You know, that says that they were leaning a lot on veteran experience, but they also fielded 6 teenagers who are still in either high school or in some cases junior high.
Yeah, Molly Burke is 14. She's a 2010, so she's probably almost 15. But she's still listed as 14 years old, and she got the start in this match. So I'm not really sure why so few of their regular players that are sort of the university age, the players that play for Dinos, why they weren't involved in this match, like, Aislinn Phillips and so forth. But anyway, they won the match, and they're off to Sherwood Park next weekend.
Do you know, Jason, who the other teams that will be competing in Sherwood Park are? Sorry to put you on the spot like that.
I know 2 of the 3 because I'm not sure the Quebec team is known yet. It's Simcoe Valley Rovers and Altitude FC.
Different representation from last year than when the Whitecaps were the team from BC.
The Whitecaps team is now the Vancouver Rise Academy in League One BC, but they didn't get it. And last year, I believe it was NDC Ontario, which had the Ontario title. But yeah, this year it's Simcoe Valley Rovers. So, and I think, maybe it's already been decided who was going to be in Quebec, but it was down to like a final match, I think, today. So I didn't check before we were recording, but we'll probably talk about that a little bit more in our episode later in the week. But kudos to them, and 2 years in a row, another trophy in the case.
Let's segue now and talk about the men's match. Blizzard winning over Villains 4-1 at Broadview on Friday. This was a very expected result considering that Villains have not won any matches or even got a point this season. Goals for Blizzard came from Moel Gandor, who nabbed a brace, and then Victor Gautin, who got a brace as well, and then Villains' goal came from Massi Jabali.
Blizzard needed to win. Even if they won, St. Albert had to lose for them to win the title on Friday night. And St. Albert did not oblige. They won their match. They played Callies in St. Albert, and they won that match 4-0.
Yeah, and who was on the score sheet but Noah Lachelt with another brace, which put him up to 20 goals on the season. That's a remarkable return. We haven't seen that kind of a offensive productivity from one player in League One before. But yeah, what a season for him. And that meant that it came down to the all-important match on Sunday between St. Albert and Blizzard to determine the league champion. And Blizzard pulled it off with a 5-3 win. Lots of goals, lots of excitement. And you actually posted Blizzard's 5th goal to our social media accounts because it was something special.
You have team leaders and the big game players for the big games. And Moel Gander got a brace on Friday night, and he also got a brace in the final. And he got the 5th goal, which was a real backbreaker. It was in the 74th minute, and he basically did the chip shot from half. It was right on the halfway line and went into the net. The cameraman didn't even get a good shot of it. That kind of finished it and sealed the deal for Blizzard. So they got the title, and they're in the Can Champ next year.
Yeah, that's exciting for them. They'll probably get to play a Canadian Premier League team. And we'll see a Calgary team from League One compete in that tournament because, of course, this year it was Edmonton Scottish. But yeah, a little bit more about that Moel Gandor goal. What was really cool about it is he seemed to know right after it left his foot that it was going in the net because he started running towards his teammates kind of with his arms up as if he was celebrating well before the ball actually flew into the net. I want to bring up a goal that I think a lot of soccer fans will probably know about. It was David Beckham's goal against Wimbledon in, I want to say 1996, like in the mid-90s. Very similar, just behind the halfway line, smashed it, and yeah, caught the keeper off his line and knew it was going in before it actually did. But congratulations to Moel Gandor, because yeah, 4 goals in his last 2 games, and even though he didn't play the full season, that he got 8 or 9 goals,
something like that.
Speaking of the number of goals that he scored, I guess we could also mention that we already mentioned that Noah Lachelt scored 20, which put him well ahead of anybody else in the men's Golden Boot race. But on the women's side, 2 Calgarians finished 1st and 2nd in the scoring charts, both of whom have been on our podcast. Avril Jameson, the grade 12 St. FX commit, she scored 10 for Foothills, and then her Foothills teammate Kendall Showers, who didn't play the whole season, I believe, she ended with 9.
And as you mentioned, Avril's going off to St. FX, and I don't think we mentioned on the podcast, although I know we've talked about it ourselves, Kendall Showers has signed a deal in Greece, so she's going back to a different team in the Greek Pro League. I think it's Santa FC, team in Athens. Anyway, so her pro career will continue this fall back in Greece.
Which is excellent. Yeah, if you want to dig back through our archives, we've had Kendall on twice. The second time she talked to us about her first year in Greece with a team called Ophi Crete. So she was living on Crete, which is an island off the coast of mainland Greece. But yeah, now she'll be living in the capital, and I think that'll be a nice change of pace and yeah, an opportunity to play another year of professional soccer in a country like Greece. How do you say no to that?
Absolutely. One thing I'll mention, I just thought it was kind of an odd addendum to the League One season. There still is one more match left. On Friday evening, Cavalry U21 will play Villains at Shoaldice. And I guess this is just a match that, for whatever reasons, however the schedule worked out, is basically just a week later than all the other ones. But if you want your one last fix of League One Alberta and you want to get another glance of some of the young players for Cavalry, it would be your chance. Nico Maroniak and Chan Chanda and Michael Harms have been pretty much regular starters for that team the last few matches. So
So speaking of Cavalry U21, we did mention in our last episode that they were going to play Nottingham Forest's U21 team in at a tournament in British Columbia. And they did lose that game 2-1 with Channon Chanda scoring their lone goal. But yeah, one more game on the season for them. I'm curious who they'll put in the starting 11, considering the match doesn't really matter. Yeah, as you mentioned, one more opportunity to catch a League One game.
Hi, my name is Kaylee Hunter, and you're listening to the YYC Soccer Podcast.
All right, Scott, let's talk about the Calgary Wild. As we've kind of both mentioned, neither of us had a chance to attend this match at McMahon Stadium on Saturday, and I don't think either of us had a chance to watch start to finish the whole 90 minutes. But in the end, AFC Toronto pulled out another victory.
Yeah, they stay on top of the table with a 2-1 win over the Wild, who are on a 3-game losing streak at the moment. But despite that, they really did put in a solid effort in this one, and they outshot and outpossessed Toronto. And if it weren't for a couple of chances that just went wide or in one case hit the post, Calgary easily could have gotten 1 or even 3 points from this game. But it was a game where all 3 goals came pretty early on, in the first 20 minutes, actually. Calgary getting on the board first.
Yeah, in the 8th minute, Maggie Doherty-Howard had a free kick, and Kayla Moore actually didn't get her head on the ball. She got a foot on the ball, and she was open and was able to put it in and give the early lead.
Yeah, this is, I believe, Michaela Moore's 3rd goal on the season, and they've pretty much all come from set pieces or on the follow-up of a set piece. And her first 2 were headers, but yeah, this one was a really nice connection. And I was curious if Maggie Doherty-Howard assisted one or both of her other goals as well this year. But they definitely look like they've been practicing this set piece.
Mm-hmm. And a few minutes later, though, there was the equalizer. The 12th minute, Kaylee Hunter, former podcast guest and Calgarian, she was able to take advantage of a missed tackle by Janaea Robertson and connect with a shot that did not miss and tied it up.
No, it was a missed clearance. And actually, if there's one player on Toronto you don't want to clear the ball to in your own box, it's probably Kaylee Hunter, who's fire at the moment. And yeah, she made no mistake scoring her 8th goal of the NSL season.
And then in the 18th minute, just a few minutes later, the final goal, Emma Regan broke the deadlock, and that turned out to be the winning goal.
Yeah, this was the pick of the bunch, to be honest. This was a fantastic shot into the top corner. No chance that Steph Vukovic was going to save this. Yeah, just kind of found the ball within probably 20, 22 yards of Calgary's net and just unleashed a rocket that sailed into the top corner. So, it seemed like we were going to get a really exciting match, 2-1 in 18 minutes, but no more goals after that. Although if you were going to pick a team that was going to score, it was probably going to be Calgary. They had a really good chance shortly after the hour mark. Grace Storty hit the post. I know that Sarita Thurton had a good opportunity. And then actually in stoppage time, new signing Jorian Balcom playing her first game at McMahon Stadium and her 2nd game overall for the Wild. She had a chance that came pretty close as well to tie it up.
Yeah, based on what I saw, the Wild looked pretty lively on offense. They were generating offense, creating chances. So, they weren't able to get another goal. But, in other matches earlier in the season they lost, it seemed like, getting another goal it didn't seem like it could actually happen in some of those matches. But here, there were several occasions where it seemed like things were just moving in that direction. It just didn't quite get over the line.
The good news for Calgary Wild fans is that they did look really good out there, and they played well. They played better than the team that is starting to pull away at the top of the NSL standings. The bad news is that Calgary is still down at the bottom of not at the bottom of the table, but they're 2nd from bottom, just 3 points ahead of Halifax. And thanks to a few recent wins from Vancouver, they're starting to fall behind the 4th place team as well, with a 5-point gulf between the Rise and the Wild.
Hello, Fraser Aird here, guys, and you are listening to the YYC Soccer Podcast.
All right, let's talk about Cavalry FC. And it is one of those quirks in the schedule here again. Last week they played a match on Tuesday, and this week it's on Monday. So in our beginning of the week episode, we're actually doing a preview and not a recap. But they'll be playing Pacific on Monday afternoon at 4 p.m. on Vancouver Island.
Yeah, I guess you could argue that it still is the weekend since it's a stat holiday. But yeah, I mean, in terms of talking about this match, I think it's a good one for Cavalry. They are still in a slump. Have they gone 6 games without a win or one win in 6 or something like that? Like, it's a really bad streak that they're on right now.
Ever since that 10-game unbeaten streak ended, it's been kind of rough times.
Yeah, I think Pacific is a team that Cavalry often look really good against for whatever reason. Pacific just don't show up when they take on Cavalry. And earlier this season, it was very one-sided. But of course, this is a very different looking Cavalry at the moment. So really hard to say how this one's going to go. They're also going to be the away team, and they have a couple of key players out suspended.
The CPL did announce their final disciplinary decisions, and Ali Musi is out for a total of 3 matches. So the previous match, this match against Pacific, and the next match. And Goda Natigny, I guess partly because it wasn't 2 yellows in a match, it's only a 1-match suspension. So he won't be in the Pacific match, but he'll be available next weekend. So, but nonetheless, those are 2 pretty big offensive threats missing from the lineup on a team that has been having trouble scoring goals.
Definitely. And in terms of Pacific's form, I just thought I'd mention they are coming off of 2 defeats in a row without scoring in either of those games. However, those games were against Forge and Atletico, who are the top 2 teams in the table. But overall, Pacific has really struggled this year, and particularly on offense, I think they have the joint worst scoring record with Vancouver FC. In 16 games, they've only scored 15 goals, and they've let in 30. So definitely the kind of game that Cavalry will want to try and shake off some of this lack of quality that they've been going through.
Hello, this is Sydney Wathuta, and you're listening to the YYC Soccer Podcast.
All right, one more thing we wanted to mention before we wrapped up. A Calgarian, a former podcast guest, Sydney Wathuta, he was drafted by the Colorado Rapids this year, and he's been playing for Rapids 2 over the last little while. But over the weekend, he got the big promotion.
Yeah, he appeared on the bench for Colorado Rapids' first team in their League's Cup match against Mexican side Santos Laguna. And it sounds like he will appear in more of this tournament.
Yeah, so congrats to him getting a little bit of a look on the big team. And I have to admit, I haven't followed him on a week-by-week basis, but my sort of understanding is he showed well thus far with Rapids too. So I guess this is a bit of a reward, and also just a sign that his first pro season is coming along nicely.
Yeah, sounds great. Thank you for listening to the YYC Soccer Podcast. You can have this podcast downloaded to your device as soon as it becomes available by subscribing on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or any other platforms. Check out our website at yycsoccer.com, where you can look through our episode archive and find other ways to listen, including our YouTube channel. We also have links to buy my book, Here Come the Cavalry, which is all about Calgary's professional soccer history. You can leave a question or comment in the Contact Us section of our website, and you can also interact with us on social media sites such as Twitter, Instagram, or Blue Sky, where our username is @YYCSoccer403. Thanks for listening.